Caroline and I live in the heart of Europe in Switzerland. And my story starts about 10 years ago when my marriage ended. And I woke up 2-3 months later in my living room, not knowing who I was anymore. I sat there looking at the rugs, the furniture, the paintings, the books. I thought, this is not me, this is not me, this is not me. So, but what is me? Who am I? And I truly realized that I was bending over backwards to make my husband happy. And I had lost all sense of myself. So a beautiful journey back to reconnecting with myself began. This was just before I turned 40, 10 years ago. Yes, do the calculation, I'm turning 50 in 10 days. No, not quite, a little more. And so I went back to the time before I was 20, in my teenage years. What kind of music did I love? What kind of books did I read? What did I love to do back then, before I met this man? And I learned so much about myself and started strengthening up, started to stand up for my children and myself, going through a divorce, learning about emotional abuse and how that can really cripple, and breathing and coming back to myself, a sense of myself. It's sort of like all the puzzle pieces came back and I felt full or complete again. And I have been sharing these stories of going through a divorce and how I reconnected with myself in my first book, Conversations with Me. These are the stories I shared with all my friends, with the closest friends, and said, did you remember? This happened, and what did I do, and everything. So it's sharing the stories, but also how I learned through those stories to reconnect with me, how I learned to stand up, how I became more of Caroline than I ever was before. And then I had another relationship later on, and it was beautiful. I felt loved again. Yeah, someone loves me, cool. Took it all in, it was great. And he was also great with my children, but it ended. It wasn't the right one. And I realized when that ended, I cried for 5 days. I just got out of bed, got the kids in the car, drove off, drove them to school, came back, went under the duvet, under the covers, and just cried and cried and cried and cried. It was a big, big, big let go. It was healing from that relationship, also healing from the marriage that ended. I hadn't really processed that either. And during that time, I realized how I only felt loved when I was in a relationship. I felt after that breakup, I felt so deeply lonely, unloved. No one likes me, everybody's leaving me, and I am absolutely unlovable. So then the journey back to love, the love within, the love from the universe, and love from Mother Earth started. I learned to accept myself, all parts of me, and especially the ones I always felt is not good enough or I'm lacking, like being too sensitive. I was always told, you're too sensitive, you need to toughen up. And I tried to toughen up, I tried to fit in, I tried to be everybody else. But I never tried to be Caroline, never tried to be myself. So I learned to accept all those parts. I learned to love those parts. I learned to nurture myself, to look after myself. I was a giver. But actually, I needed some giving too. And through all of that, I realized how my self-worth has developed, I felt worthy and I felt proud of the journey I took. And the story is all about love I share in my second book, Loving Conversations with Me. It's gorgeous, beautiful stories. And I felt new compassion for myself. And then later on, I had a skating accident and I had a whiplash and a bad concussion, and I lay there for weeks, couldn't move. I felt nauseous, had vertigo, and all conventional medicine could give is painkillers, and they just made me more nauseous. And during that time, I also learned to receive. I learned to receive help. I was a giver. I always was there helping others. But I never truly allowed anybody to help me or support me. And I thought, that's actually the best gift you can get someone, to be able to receive with a thank you. Seeing those sparkling eyes of my friends when they brought me dinner and said, here, you have dinner. I said, oh, thank you. And I gave them the gift of giving. We're all givers, so allow yourself to receive and allow someone else to give. Even if someone just wants to invite you for a coffee, say thank you and appreciate the gift. Back then, I was still full-time mom. It was maybe 6-7 years ago. And yes, I asked around what helps with whiplash or concussion, and then friends said pranic healing or EFT, and I had no idea what that is, so I googled it. This is okay, pranic healing. So for you who don't know, pranic healing comes from prana, the flow, chi, and it's similar to Reiki, works in the energy field. So I went, I saw there's a healer not too far away, and I went for a session. It was so gorgeous, releasing all the tension in my head and my neck and freeing. I said, wow, this is amazing. I want to learn that too. I want that too. And then she started a new basic course 2 months later. So I started that, got my mom looking after the children. And the first time I did something just for myself. It felt really good. And I studied pranic healing and all the modalities that come, and really was into it, and I loved it. And the same with EFT, it's emotional freedom technique, the tapping. And it was gorgeous. I used it on myself, I used it on my children and my friends. It was amazing. But doing that, I learned that pranic healing has sort of a protocol. You have to do this with this chakra, this color, or with all diseases or illnesses, you just have to follow a protocol. And that was very narrow, and I felt a bit restrained because my intuition was guiding me to do much more, like showering people with rose petals or anything. And then I learned more about the angels and angelic healing. I thought, wow, this is it. This is what I'm doing. It was all intuitive in all areas and gorgeous. And I love to connect to the angels because I was single. I felt oftentimes lonely or overwhelmed and still worried and burdened. And so I could hand over my worries to the angels. So here it is. Oh, thank you for looking after that. It was off my chest. It felt good. And I was never lonely. I always have Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael with me and many more. It was really gorgeous, and I did that. So I revamped my website, Angelic Healing. That's what I'm doing. Wonderful. Then about 2-3 years ago, I thought, I'm still hiding behind the angels. So what am I truly doing? And then it was heart flow healing came. I'm a heart person, and I love to connect heart to heart. And we get so much grief and hurt, and then we block our hearts. And when it's blocked, then we can't truly be in the flow, and we might still feel joy, but it's not that wonderful open joy, and we don't feel so deeply because yes, we've been hurt and we want to just protect ourselves. So, but actually releasing all those pain and hurt and helping others do that was gorgeous. So actually my skating accident was a wake-up call to finally go out and do the healing I was meant to be. Like the doctor I always wanted to become as a child. And one of my greatest eye-opening moments and the proudest moment I really felt, okay, I'm on my right path, is my daughter. She was 7, 8 when her dad left. And she was very intimidated, very shy. She was bullied at school. And actually, the more I learned to stand up for myself, the more I became myself, had more healthy boundaries, the more she grew. Because we are their greatest example. They don't listen to what we say, but they copy our behavior. So by me bending over backwards towards my husband, that's what she did at school with her friends. She tried to please everybody. So the more I became myself, the more she stood up. And now she's 19, she studies abroad, and she has so clear boundaries that our kids are always the greatest teachers. So she's teaching me to be even more clear, more firm, and can say no without any excuses or whatever, And for my oldest son, he's also 22. So he's one of those indigo children, those highly sensitive, and at school he was teacher said, oh, he's hyperactive, he needs Ritalin. I said, no. But I learned, he said, so the indigo children are sort of sensing the truth and are truth warriors. And whenever he was hyper and acting out, actually it told me when I was out of my own truth. So he was the indicator for me. And the more I became myself and became truer to myself, he could calm down. I thought, wow, And my youngest turns 16 in September, and he's one of these dolphin, and she's always joyful. Now he's in puberty, it's a different lesson, but he was always cheerful, and he's sort of my greatest support. Oh, Mom, you're doing so great. Your business is so great, and your books, and wow, I'm so proud of you. And it's really heartwarming. In relation to their dad, it's difficult. My oldest, they see each other once every month, maybe for dinner. And I treasure that. And my daughter, she cut off all connections. She's just not wanting. And I said, it's okay. She's 19. She can decide and she can connect again. And my youngest maybe sees him twice a year or something. So it's hard. And I had a hard time. I saw a movie or something, and the woman was dying, and she told her daughter, who was already grown, that she said, I'm sorry I choose such a bad man to be your father. And it so resonated with me. So I still have some healing and some release to do, because what I learned, and might help other moms as well, is because I felt so sorry for my poor kids going through the divorce, and I would have never left and everything. But the children, they come and they choose that situation. So back when they were still up on the clouds, and they says, oh, I want to have these parents, and I want to experience the divorce, and I want to experience that emotional, unavailable dad. And so it's all in the greater picture. Everything is perfect. And all we have to do is be true to ourselves. So we are the greatest example for our children. And be truer and loving, just love them unconditionally. for who they are and love yourself for who you are. So we're in constant evolvement, constant developing, and whereas again I'm going through changes. It was Palmy healing was my business, and now I know, stepping more into myself, my business is carolinepalmy.com. So it's, you know, and you said sometimes people feel they do something and have to stick with that. We never do. We're constantly evolving, we're constantly changing, developing. So don't be afraid to try something new, go down a different path. And I think it's all in the experiences life brings. So experience to the fullest. Yes, sometimes it's like a roller coaster of emotions, but what I learned is sit with your feelings. We are so good to pushing them down. Even envy. So many people say, oh, you should not be envious or jealous. That's really bad. I says, oh, no. Don't push it down. It just comes up and gets stuck. Look at it. What does it mean? What are you envious about? What are you jealous about? Oh, she's doing this and that. And what does that mean? It only means that you would love to do the same. So it's just a feeling. There's no bad or good feelings. It's all feelings. So allow yourself time and acknowledge the feelings. You know, you don't have to go full blown into it. Even when anger comes up. Okay, hello, anger. Okay, what are you telling me? Oh, I hadn't had enough time for myself. I was stressing. I am angry. Okay, thank you, anger. And then it can go. And that's an important part. I'm a teacher of the heart, so we really need to come back to our hearts and our feelings, because sometimes, and of course I was told like mind is more important than the heart, you're too emotional, but it's really the feelings are our indicator of what is going on. We are so connected to the feelings, and it's important to get that. And maybe as a little gift for everybody listening, just put your hands on your heart and close your eyes and take a deep breath into your belly and release. And while you're here in your heart space, keep breathing deeply into your belly. And now ask yourself, what is it that I need right now? Take another deep breath and let the answer come to you. It might be like an inner hearing. Maybe you see a picture or movie in your inner eye, or you sense it, or you just know. What is it that I need right now? Let it come to you. And if nothing comes, don't despair. It'll come, maybe in your sleep or when you're more relaxed. And if something came to you, promise yourself you follow up on that one. Maybe it's just having a cup of tea. Whatever it is, allow yourself and gift yourself with that, what you need right now. Take another deep breath and come back into the here and now. And you can do this exercise as often as you want. And especially when you feel a bit stressed out, touch your heart, breath, and you come back to yourself. Or if you're facing your ex and are a bit worried, touch your heart, deep breath, and it centers and grounds you, and you are here. That's a little gift for you all.